This meeting is now being recorded.
Hello.
Hello, this is Mike Krause. How are you today?
It's Jeffrey Gitomer. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really excited to speak with you today with our listeners, and I want to introduce Jeffrey Gitomer. I'm sure everyone knows him that's on the line currently, but he's among the most sought-out after inspirational speakers in the world today. He gives over 100 corporate and public seminars a year on 4 continents, and his clients include the largest national and multinational corporations. Jeffrey's sellout presentations and keynote addresses are funny, insightful, real-world, and in your face, and off the wall, and on the money. His books have sold millions of copies around the world, and he's appeared more than 750 times on the bestseller list. His free weekly Sales Caffeine has over 300,000 subscribers, and Jeffrey is also the founder of Train One, an e-learning environment for sales, customer loyalty, and yes attitude. Visit more of him at Gitomer.com. So, Jeffrey, how are you this morning?
Michael, it sounds like by the time my introduction's over that our time's up.
I know. Well, I'm surprised we got it that short for you. Someone with so much experience, to be honest with you. I was surprised when they sent it over. I was like, there's more than this. So,
who's in the audience today? Who are we trying to reach?
Well, we're trying to reach sales professionals, business leaders, and sales managers as well. So those are the 3 people that are listening in. And speaking of that, if you have a question, please dial in at 718-766-4102. Again, 718-766-4102. So if you have any questions, please hit the button. Oh, yeah. Right now,
email it. They can email it.
Okay, email. What, salesman at Gitomer.com?
Jeffrey at Jeffrey at Gitomer.com.
Okay, great. So, well, again, thank you. And you're 99% of the reason I went off on my own about 4 years ago and started Sales Sense Solutions. So I really look up to you as being a mentor of mine, and it's so awarding to actually finally speak to you and learn more about your books. And I just want to let you know that you were a big inspiration for me to go off on my own. Met you at LexisNexis about 5 years ago when you were releasing more information on Sales Bible. So I really, really appreciate it. So
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. So there's so much to talk about.
So everybody else on the phone today, quit your job.
Absolutely, absolutely. Quit your jobs and refinance your house and take a leap of faith, and it'll be fine.
Exactly.
So
yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. We'll make more. That's what I always say. I go, well, we'll make more money. No big deal. But anyways, there's so many new things that I'd like to talk to you about. You have the leadership book, which thank you. I was part of that launch as a bonus. And also your social boom, and, of course, Ace of Sales. And I kind of wanted to leave it open without a lot of structure here, but what's on your mind this morning?
I just got a question from somebody that was asking me about how do I leave a more effective voicemail message when I call up and ask for a 5-minute appointment and no one calls me back. And I didn't want to use the word jackass because it would be too, insulting to that person, but boy, it was about as close as I've come in a long time. I'm writing a piece right now that basically says, look, if you're trying to sell the old way, you're out. Social media has taken over. The Internet has taken over. People, and 20 years ago I wrote the phrase, people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. And your job as any kind of a salesperson is to make certain that you're doing something to create that atmosphere where people want to buy. I just passed a couple of milestones. My 1,000th column will appear at the end of May. My 500th edition of my email magazine will appear at the first week in June. Yesterday I passed 30,000 followers on Twitter, and I'll have 20,000 people that like me on Facebook within another week. So I'm looking at these things as a kind of a collection of achievements, and I'm challenging salespeople. You can't go out and make a cold call and begin to build that kind of base. It's not going to work. There has to be some reason, some valuable reason. I mean, you wrote a book, Michael. Did you do it on accident? Was it The kind of thing where you said, oh, crap, if I don't have a book, I'm going to be dead? Or did you do it because you thought it was the right thing to do for the marketplace and the best thing you could do for your career?
The latter. I did because I wanted to. I fell in love with the concepts, and I wanted to help people grow, and that's why I did it.
Right. And so the bottom line is that anyone who's listening to this call, hoping that I'm going to give them another cold call technique, I wouldn't give you another cold call technique if my rear end fell off. It's a horrible, stupid waste of time where you get rejected 99 times out of 100, and the only reason that your boss asks you to go make cold calls, is because he's inept. Why don't you tell him to go make 100 cold calls and see what happens?
Well, you hit the nail right in.
It's unbelievable to me. I'm not saying cold calling is dead, but why don't you try it in Manhattan? Why don't you try cold calling any building in Manhattan and see if you can get past one guard one time in a year? And the answer is you won't. So now people will say, well, we can't get through the front door, so maybe we'll call them up on the phone. It's the same crap. What are you doing? You're interrupting people. There's got to be a better way. And the way is through value. A value message, a value statement, a value blog, a value website, a value Twitter piece, a value-based tweet every day towards your marketplace, something that gets you rocking. And then I go to your YouTube channel, YouTube, second largest search engine in the world, and I look you up. And there should be some testimonials on there about how great you are in video. So I'm kind of up in arms right now about how stupid salespeople really are based on what they think they know, and they're not studying what's new. They go home at night, and they have some kind of television show on, and they waste their time and get to work in the morning and grumble. Our prices are too high. We're becoming a commodity. My boss is a jerk. Our customers only take the lowest price. And, you know, I don't, do you find anything any different, Michael?
No, I don't. And that goes back to, I think it goes back to what you said, Jeffrey, is that the manager is inept. They don't have the good leadership. They haven't studied the new times. And I was just having a conversation with a client last Friday, and she was getting the rejection and everything, et cetera, the standard, 100 calls, the 80-style management, I like to call it. And she couldn't get out of her own way, and that's because of that manager leading her down that path of just frustration and I want to quit my job, burnout. And it's amazing that people haven't jumped on board with more social media and better leadership at this point. I'm stunned myself. So
I don't understand it. I feel as though there's got to be, and let me tell you how stupid some companies are. They won't let their people on Facebook.
I know.
Well, we have regulations. You know what? That's just bullshit. People are people. They overthrew the government of Egypt. Facebook and Twitter overthrew the government of Egypt. What else does the boss need to know?
I work with a lot of big companies that you can't even get on YouTube, no Twitter, no LinkedIn, no Facebook, nothing. So
let me give you why. I'll tell you why. They don't trust their own employees. They have a zero-based trust factor in their own people.
I agree.
To me, it's insulting. Like, hey, I'm an adult. I want to make money. I'm in sales. I'm on commission. Leave me alone.
That's what I always said to my managers. Leave me alone because I'll figure it out. There's a better mousetrap out there, and I'm not going to it's classic. So.
And then the sales manager goes, well, we want our salespeople to be accountable. Hey, buddy, they got into sales so they wouldn't have to be accountable.
That's true.
Let them be on commission. Take away their base, double their commissions.
Absolutely, and then any other salesman would say that's the opportunity I've been dying for. Get rid of my base. I want to be at 100% commission if you promise never to call me again. So that's a true salesperson because we're that in between an entrepreneur, and we just are on that edge of we like the company, but we want to be on our own. We're just on that delicate edge of things. That cracks me up. In the leadership book you just wrote, you said you hire eagles. And that goes back to, I imagine that your staff is allowed to get on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. What do you mean by that when you hire eagles?
You hire people who are capable at any moment of flying away. Eagles can fly. And if you hire the best people for the job, sometimes they'll want to be on their own or take a better position, take a growth position that I might not be able to offer them, and they go. I have great people, and I have a lot of former great people. It was just time for them to go someplace else. But during the time that they were here, they gave me their best, and I extracted their best from them.
Absolutely, absolutely. People are your best or your worst. You know, they'll make you fly like eagles or not, I guess. You know, that's always. And I like what you said in your book, the testing, throw it away, because as you know, that's a big corporate thing, is to have more testing and more testing. And you say hire by gut. Do you still obviously believe that?
Yeah, testing is another word for ass covering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, an idiot gets a job because they passed the test, and then they fail at the job, and the boss goes, well, you passed the test. You know, not my fault. I didn't think he was any good, but hell, he passed the test. Nobody.
No, that's true. That's true. You know, hiring a salesperson is one of those most challenging things, I think. We're a different person, a different breed of person to hire, and it definitely comes down to having that ambition. And have you seen anything over the years that you can share with the listeners that would make their life a little bit easier about when you see a salesperson? Is there anything they could share with them?
You mean about hiring the right guy?
Yeah, hiring the right guy.
There's an easy strategy. You get the guy in a room and you talk to him, and you exercise what you think is your gut feeling about his attitude. If they ask you about benefits and vacation, don't take them. If they start complaining about their last boss, don't take them. But there's a secret, and the secret lies in their references. I don't care that their gym teacher from 10 years ago liked them a whole lot from high school. What I want is 5 customers that they've recently done business with. And I want to call those 5 customers and find out, how was this guy? What was your experience with this guy? How well did he treat you? Did he tell you the truth? Was he easy to get a hold of? Was he responsive? That's what I want to know. Because really, that's all I care about with a sales guy.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest values out there, and I think social media helps it too, is the biggest value is responsiveness. How fast can you get back to people? That's one of those freebies out there, I call it, is value. If you want value, if I return your email in a couple of minutes versus someone that returns it 5 days from now, that is value. And maybe my price won't be the lowest at the end, but there is value along the way. Then responsiveness. How responsive is that salesperson to that person is huge.
Right. So that's why I'm going to judge 50% of my decision on the voice of the guy's customers. That's what I'm going to look at. The rest of it's a bunch of crap.
I agree.
I don't care that the college professor liked them. I don't care that they were miscongeniality. I don't give a shit about any of that kind of stuff. All I care about is what happened when they were face-to-face with the customer. That's what I care about.
Yeah, and you, as we all know, references, you know they're going to say good things unless you just pissed them off the day before or something. You know, they're going to say he's great and all of that. So there's a lot of legalities about that. I agree. Call the customers and see how they reacted.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit about the leadership book because I just read it and it was awesome. And I want to talk about the 9.5 tragic flaws of leaders because that really resonated with me. You know, being a bully, they're inaccessible, deciding slowly, reprimanding in public, not keeping promises, not telling the truth, playing favorites, inconsistent mood, being out of technology, and assigning the wrong task to the wrong person is your 9.5. no-goes. And I agree on the bully thing. There's a lot of 80s-style managers out there still bullying salespeople around. What can you ever turn a bully around in your research? Have you seen that? Can you turn a bully around, Jeffrey?
Yeah, make them make cold calls.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll shut them up.
That's classic. Same lady I mentioned earlier, she said, well, my manager sat down with me for 4 hours. And I'm like, okay, well, what did you guys do? He goes, well, for 3.5 hours, we worked on the script. And then for a half hour, we looked at the phone, and then we went to lunch. And that was right out of her mouth, verbatim. So the manager never wants to make those calls. And that's funny that you just said that, is because make them make the cold calls, and then they'll go away. So that's kind of funny. So
I think cold calling on the phone is a very easy thing to do because it's just so available. You know, you pick up the phone and dial, but it's a waste. I mean, it's a total waste. And plus, whoever you get on the phone, you're pissing them off.
You're disrupting their day.
I called to piss you off. You know, I'm in the neighborhood, and I thought I could really piss you off by stopping by.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's what I always say to people when I'm coaching them. I go, you are disrupting that person's day. We are about to walk into someone if we do a cold call, and we're gonna upset them, and just we need to be in and out or what have you. It just doesn't work anymore. Going back to Manhattan, I have called in Manhattan, and you can't get anywhere off the lobby. Anyone trying to make a cold call in Manhattan without 3 forms of ID and a passport and a blood sample, you're not going to get anywhere. And it's amazing. People still report that they did cold calls in Manhattan. I'm like, how? It's impossible. So.
Well, unless they're cold calling some sewing machine store on 23rd Street.
Right,
you know,
absolutely.
You walk in the store. You're not going to walk into an office building in Manhattan. They're starting now to program elevators so that they only go to certain floors.
I was just in Chicago, and that happened to me, too. I was allowed only on 19. I pressed 19, and I was trying to go to a different floor. I had to go back down, re-register, and say, no, I need to go 1 floor up. That's funny that you just mentioned that. That happened to me in Chicago. They're doing that. So it's so hard. And you know, out of respect for the people in the building, too, no one wants to be harassed all day with cold calls and salespeople, you know, knocking on their doors all day. That's for sure.
I don't.
No, you don't. So how do you handle a salesperson if they call?
I let them in. Well, if it's some idiot trying to sell me a share of stock, I tell them that I only buy on inside information, and that pretty much changes the thing right away. But if it's someone from the Police Athletic League and they're reading from a script, I pretty much tell them never put me on the do not call list. But I have a sign on my door that says solicitors welcome. You got something to sell? Come on, I want to see what it is.
There you go.
Most people suck.
Yeah, that's true. Do they open a pitch book or lead with the brochure, the standard?
Whatever the deal is, they're really not that good at it. So it's kind of fun for me to just play with them.
I do that, too, with car salespeople. I'll get bored, and if I have a few hours, I go and I try to buy a car. So it's kind of funny. And they always go, what kind of money are you spending? I go, I'd like to get a payment down to 0. And, you know, anything. I'm looking for a free car today. So,
right.
So in the book, back to that leader versus coach. You know, what is the difference? You know, that coaching term has been hammered. At least I think it has. You know, coaching. You know, what does that mean versus leadership?
I would prefer that any kind of sales leader look at himself or herself as a coach. And the reason is that people are willing to play for their coach. People are willing to take direction from their coach. People are willing to learn from their coach. The coach has probably been a player himself or herself. And the coach is somebody who uses encouragement as a tool rather than threats as a tool. The coach has one goal: score. Whatever the team is, whatever the sport is, the goal is score. And maybe it's playing good defense, and maybe it's playing good offense. But the bottom line is, if you don't score, you're not going to win. And the coach doesn't say we're going to have 21 points today or it's over. The coach just says score, and you score as much as you possibly can. Because somebody else upstairs has made a goal for the salespeople. You got to do $100 million. Okay, why? Well, because Because I said so. Well, what do you? Well, that's because what our shareholders want. Like, you know what, pal? Then you go do it. You go do it. But I'm going to make as many sales as I possibly can with the encouragement of my coach. And if they're going to set a goal, why don't you set earnings minimums? Why don't you tell the sales guy, look, we want you to earn $125,000 this year. Here's how you're going to do it. Cool, I'm in.
Right.
No, they say you got to do $50,000 every week, or we're going to kick your ass. They just don't get it.
No, they don't.
They don't get it because I make a lot of money picking up their crap.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head there again. Is like that we'd always have these quotas roll down, and they'd be not obtainable, or for the few select. And then I would ask, how are we going to get there? I don't know, just do it. And I'm like, well, can we get a little bit more help than just go do it? But that's all they do is just say, go do it, go do it. And I'm like, whatever. When you're talking about on the other side of things, instead of hiring eagles, the fire and not to fire, we've all had to let some people go in the past, and probably for some good reasons and maybe for some bad reasons. When do you know to hold them and when to fold them?
I think you take your own shots there. I think that you have to kind of go by your gut feeling. Once you let go of a salesperson who wasn't really that good, you kind of know it right away. The only problem is in the consternation of should I do it or when should I do it, but to me, it's more important of how should I do it. You let the other person keep their dignity and you keep it short. I've fired a lot of people in my life. Never took me more than 1 minute to fire anybody. 1 minute.
Yeah, and did a lot of them know it was coming?
Most of them do.
Yeah, they
Most
do.
People, yeah. And I say, look, it's just not working out, and it's time for you to seek a new direction. Today's your last day.
Yep, that's it.
Right. I make sure that there is zero question about compensation, and I typically will overcompensate somebody at their departure. Because if a person hits the street and talks about me, he goes, he fired me. Well, what happened? Well, he gave me 4 weeks severance. Why did he do that? Well, he didn't have to. He just did it.
Yeah, there you go. Leave it out.
I don't want somebody bad-mouthing me for what I did or didn't do. And when you fire somebody, you're probably not on their hit parade.
That's true. You got to worry about the backlash a little bit. That's for sure.
Well, you about the bullshit.
Yeah.
No sales guy's ever been wrong.
No one's ever been wrong. That's the society we've created. That's for sure. Hey, going back actually to the beginning, I want the listeners to know a little bit more. How is the relationship with Paul Doc Hersey, and how did that start? You've been.
It's a little bit risque for me to tell the entire story, but just suffice it to say that we knew of each other for a long time, and then finally met about a decade ago, and struck up an amazing, mutually beneficial relationship. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. And pushing 80, he's also one of the most lucid people that I've ever met. So I would challenge you to look at your friends and determine what is their knowledge base, what is their, Paul Hersey's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, he created situational leadership in the 40s at Ohio University. His assistant, by the way, was Ken Blanchard.
Yeah, unbelievable.
A little known fact. And Blanchard went on to systematically try to take what wasn't his.
Take what wasn't his. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The legacy piece, which I've always been a believer in, and I don't know if this is true, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he said that was the one piece that he forgot to put in was legacy.
He forgot to put in Snickers.
Yeah.
So how can you go through life in hierarchy of needs and not have Snickers in there? That's bullshit.
Yeah, I know. No Snickers. I mean, how can you survive without life? But
the 4 food groups. Now, Maslow arguably, it's one of the smartest people that ever lived, but didn't always write from the positive side. And the challenge that you have when you're looking at legacy is legacy needs to be positive. And maybe the reason he left it out is because he was looking at it so negatively that he said, you know, if you don't have this, then you're going to have this. If you don't have this, then you're going to have this. If you don't have this, you're going to have this. When, in fact, if you don't have legacy, you have nothing. What do you have to show for what you did? You're working for 50 years, okay, what do you get? What are your kids going to say when you're dead? What are your kids going to say at your funeral? That's what legacy is. And for me, you know, I started my legacy 20 years ago when I wrote my first column. Not when I wrote my first book, when I wrote my first column. Because that was the beginning of being published, and that's the beginning of legacy. And from there it went to a book, and from there it went to 2 books, and now there's 11 books. But I write every week. That's part of milestone, not part of goal. I have no goal to write. None whatsoever. I have a desire to write. I have a burning ambition to write. I love to write. No goal.
Have you always enjoyed love to write? Has that started at birth? Or, no?
Yeah, well, it didn't start at birth. I had to wait till I was like 2.
2?
No,
okay.
I actually have my little Engine the Good book that I scribbled in. But the bottom line is you don't really realize anything about writing until you have enough expertise to write about something. I didn't realize that I was a writer until I was in my 40s. But it wasn't a goal. It was a realization.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just get...
Listen, we're out of time.
Yeah.
They just gave me the 90-second rule of recording or something. So if you need more time with me, Michael, I would gladly grant you another half an hour sometime in the near future. But for the moment, let's bug out and let everybody dwell on what they have. You've got a recording of this, or I do.
Yeah, so...
Let's see if we can go from there. And I appreciate
absolutely, and thank you so much. It means a lot that you spent the time with me. It really does. I really do, and I appreciate spending it with the listeners, and thanks again for everyone listening. And, Jeffrey, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Michael. You take care.
Have a good day. Bye now.
Bye-bye.